much SPL here, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be about 4L80E segment swap, and this is going to be for everyone who went from a 60E to an 80E and needs to get over to the finish line on how to do the actual PCM side of things. The 80E has a few pros and cons to it over its 60E counterpart. First thing about the 80E is a con is its size. It doesn't actually fit in the tunnel of some cars. If your car is an old car like this and actually had a Turbo 400 as an option, you probably have no problems putting an 80E in. But some cars from the 80s that came with Turbo 350s or even 700 R4s have a little trouble fitting in between the tunnel. It requires maybe a little bit of hammering or something like that. The next con that I consider a con is the weight. With strength comes weight, and the 80E is actually about 60 pounds heavier than its little brother. Some people that don't bother, some people it does. It's just something that definitely needs to be noted. The next con isn't really a con, but some people shy away from it. It requires a little bit of wiring. It isn't as bad as it seems. It's pretty much just depinning the harness from the stock 60E harness, because the harnesses are interchangeable, and plugging it, repinning a few pins and plugging it right into the 80E. The next challenge is the actual PCM programming, which is why you're here today. So without further ado, let's get right to it and let's start programming. All right, just like in episode 1, we're gonna need a bench harness to actually flash our programming from our PCM and back to our PCM. I actually made a second harness that I was gonna do a video on. I decided not to upload it. We're gonna probably start using this harness from now on. Even though there's nothing wrong with the original harness you guys saw in episode 1, we're just gonna use 2 because it has a lighter switch on it. That's no other reason. I'm more than likely to give one of these away to somebody who probably needs it. Next up, you're gonna need is obviously your dongle, just like for episode 1. And obviously your PCM. We're also going to use a couple of programs that were covered in episode 1 called PCM Hammer, as well as Universal Patcher. Both of these programs are needed to actually do the segment swap to get you up and running. Now, just like the previous video, as I was mentioning before, I'll try to keep this switch in play so you can see when I'm shutting the ignition on and off. I figured the lightest switch will come more in handy so you can kind of see what's happening basically. So ignition on, ignition off. Everything else is the same as in episode 1 though. So we're going to plug our blue harness up. And we're going to put our dongle in. Alright, our first thing we're going to do is open up PCM Hammer, and we're going to dump our bin file from our PCM. And basically what we're doing is we're getting the dump of the PCM right now, untouched, because we don't want any surprises. The keen eyes might notice that our new harness voltage is a little higher, which is pretty good. We wanted a little stronger voltage, even though there's nothing wrong with the old harness. So I'm going to turn the ignition on. And we're going to let the ignition stay on for a few seconds. Actually, the PCM amp is going to access anyway. So at this point, we're going to go to Tools. And we're going to read entire PCM. We want to save this as enter our untouched bin folders, just like we did earlier. We never want to modify this. Just in case something goes wrong, we can flash it back. So we're going to hit read entire. And I want to make sure I put this. I'm going to back out of this because it's kind of in a wrong folder. We're going to go to untouched bins, and we're going to name this. We'll call it My Stock 4L60E, and that'll going to give us a chance to remember what this is without actually going to files and all that stuff. So we're hit save, and it's going to access our little warning. Has the PCM been powered on for at least 10 seconds? Of course it has. And then we're going to let this read. And I'm going to pause this video. This usually takes I believe 10 minutes or so, or something like that. So we're gonna let it do its thing. All right, PCM Hammer is done dumping our bin file, and here it is right here. My stock 4L60E bin, that's what we named it. So let's minimize this and let's launch Universal Patcher. And Universal Patcher is going to tell us basically what transmission is installed on this computer, even though we know, but this is a good practice to have so that way you can learn how to read the bins. So I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to open bin, and then we're going to click that same file we just dumped from our PCM. And it's going to populate the list, but we're going to minimize it right here in this little left-hand corner right here. And then it's going to bring another menu up, and we're going to hit plus on this, or we're going to click that plus to open this up. We're going to go to transmission calibration. Sorry, we're going to hit the plus on it to drop the menu down. We're going to go to general, and then we're going to go to transmission type. And Universal Patcher is telling us this PCM file that we just downloaded from our PCM has a 4L60E on it. Now you might notice this little drop down right here. This doesn't do anything, and under no circumstances are you guys to come in here and change this because this screws things up. Basically, when you dump the correct files to the PCM, this changes automatically. This is just a way to determine what's on the file, but it doesn't let you change anything. So don't change this. It's going to change on its own. I'm going to show you later on. So now we're going to close this out, and we're going to go to the internet, and we're actually going to find a PCM bin file that has an 80E on it already, and we're going to harvest the 80E tuning section. We're going to dump that transmission file onto our bin, and then we're going to upload that bin back onto our PCM, and we'll have an 80E segment swap. So you hear that fancy term segment swap, that's all it's really doing is taking the transmission section from off another PCM that already had it, and you're putting it on your PCM that didn't have it. And basically a segment swap. So let's go to the internet. And we're going to type in LS PCM bins. We're just going to put it in a search bar. And we're going to go to this first GitHub right here. When we get inside this GitHub, we're going to pause for a few minutes. And I'm going to have to explain some things to you. So we're going to go to bin files. Okay, right here at this step. You might notice two folders. One says P59, one says P01 or the 411. Notice the file sizes are different. If you have a red and blue PCM, this is what you're going to go to. And if you have a blue-green PCM, this is the one you're going to go to. These are not interchangeable. Even though both of these files, both of these PCMs came with 4L80E options, there was a revision in 03 which prompted the change of the green-blue harness versus the red-blue harness. So make sure you guys go to the appropriate file. They are not interchangeable, and you'll brick your PCM if you grab the wrong one. All right, this is definitely not the time to guess. So we are running, if you don't know which one you have, you should know this by now, but it's okay if you don't. We can actually go to, even though you should know you had a green, let me say that again. If you're unsure on which one you had, and maybe you're colorblind, which is okay, we all got disabilities, you can actually go to the bin file you just dropped, and it says 1024 kilobytes. That's basically 1 megabyte. And if it was a red-blue PCM, this would just say 512 kilobytes, basically a half a megabyte. So that's one way to tell to make sure you're getting the right file. So let's minimize that back, and then let's kind of go back to our thing. So since we have a blue-green PCM and a 1 megabyte file, we're going to click this. And I like to go to the stock ones first to see can we find a PCM or a bin with 4L80E on it. It doesn't matter which one of these years you get. They're pretty much all the same. So let's go to 03 first and let's see what's in there. We got some unsupported operating systems, but that doesn't matter for us because we're only stealing the transmission section out of it. So let's click that and let's see what's in there. So I'm going to scroll down. And here's something nice for us right here. A 2003 Express Van 6.0 with 4L80E in it. That's exactly what we want. Whether we had a 04, 05, 06, this is what you're going to grab. I would highly suggest grabbing this. And for my guys who have a red, blue PCM, let's kind of find one for you guys. So I'm going to click back, and then we're going to go into this the 0.5 megabyte folder. Let's go to stock again. And let's go to 01. Let's see what's in there. Let's go to supported operating system first and see can we get lucky. I'm willing to bet this has one in there. This is a 6.0, a 2500 truck more than likely would have, no, a van more than likely. That was 25, that was 2-wheel drive. This more than likely has a 4L80 in it. Now the good thing is we can actually download both these files. Now we won't upload this into our PCM, but I'm going to download this and I'm going to double check this to make sure this actually has a 4L80 in it, 4L80E in it for our red and blue brothers. So I'm going to click this. And then I'm going to come over here to this little corner right here. I hope you guys can see that. And it's going to say download raw file. So we're going to click it and it downloads that fast. And while we're on the GitHub, I'm going to double back again. And I'm going to go down here. I'm going to get the file that we need while we're there. But I just kind of want to show you, I know the video kind of took a turn, but I want to show you guys how to check these files before you flash them to your actual PCM. And we're going to take this one right here. Remember the 2003 Express Van, the 6.0, even though it's drive-by cable, it don't matter. We're only after this right here, the 4L80E. So we're going to click it, and then we're going to hit download. It's right here in the right-hand corner, download raw file. And they both downloaded that fast. We're going to close our browser down because we don't need it anymore. Let's launch Universal Patcher. And we're going to check that red and blue PCM file for our fellas that might need it. And if you're probably seeing this part in the video, it probably is the right file, and I just left it in there so you guys can see how we got there. So let's open bin. Now all this stuff went to our download folder. It didn't dump into our desktop, so that's okay. We're just going to go to our download folder. And let's click this one because remember it was a 512 for the red blue guys. And we're not flashing this to the PCM or anything like that. And it's the same process as earlier. We're going to hit minus. Now I'm going to have to hit it twice. And then we're going to go down a little bit and hit this plus. Then we're going to go to transmission calibration again. And then we're going to go to general. And then we're going to go to transmission type. And I hope you can see it. I hope it isn't blurry. But right now, PCM Hammer has determined that this is a 4L80E in that bin file we downloaded. So that's great for us. So now we're going to hit open again. Actually, let's close this out so we start fresh. No big thing. And we're going to open the second file that we downloaded. That's really for us. So we're going to hit open bin. It automatically knows the download folder because we just came out of it. And this is our 2003 Express Van folder. We're going to hit minus. Then we're going to hit plus. And then we're going to hit transmission calibration. And we're going to go to general again. And then we're going to hit transmission type. And this file is also a 4L80E. So both of these files can be harvested for their 4L80E. And we're good to go. So now we're actually going to close this out one more time and we're going to launch it again. But this time we're going to select our previous file that we just downloaded from our own PCM. So we're going to go to open bin. We're going to go to our untouched bin folder that we love because we don't modify any of these files for any reason. We're going to click that. We're going to double click it. Now we're going to come up to Utilities. And we're going to hit Segment Swap. Sorry, it jumped over one time. So we're going to hit Segment Swap, which is perfect for us. And this is where we have to kind of slow down and pay attention a little bit. The segment we want is the transmission calibration as well as the transmission diagnostic. We need both of these. Without both of them, it won't function. So we definitely have to get both. So we're going to hit transmission calibration, and we're going to extract it from, you probably guessed it, the file that we just downloaded. So I'm going to go up, and I'm going to go to download, and I'm going to make sure, you should only have one of these in there, but I'm going to double check and make sure and read this entirely to make sure I got the right file, because I have two in here and I don't want to put the wrong one. So we're going to the Express Van. I'm going to double click it, and then we're going to apply it. And in the lower section down here, it actually told us it applied it. So we're now going to go to up here at the top, and now we're going to do the transmission diagnostic. And then we're going to tell it again what file to extract it from. We're going to go to our Express Van file because this is us. And then we're going to hit apply. And at the very bottom is telling us it's applying it. So now we're going to hit OK. And in the lower corner down here, you see the checksum's all checked out. Even though it's a different operating system, none of that stuff matters. All right, now let's save our file because we're going to send this back to our PCM. So we're going to hit Save Bin As. We're never going to modify our stock file. I want you guys to definitely get in the habit of that. So we're going to hit Save Bin As. And instead of calling it My Stock 4L60E, you pretty much guessed it. We're going to call it My Stock 4L80E. And then we're going to hit Save. So let's close out Universal Patcher. And then let's relaunch it. And then we're going to open our files again. We're going to open that file we just created. We're going to read it just to make sure everything is on the up and up. So I'm going to minus this off again. Oops, we're a little out of frame. I can see it. So we're going to minus this off. And then we're going to expand it at the second one. We're going to go to transmission calibration. We're going to scroll down to general. And then we're going to go to transmission type. And now our new file has 4L80E on it. And we can actually successfully flash this back to our PCM using PCM Hammer. All right, now we're going to go back to PCM Hammer. We're going to go to Tools. We're going to go to Write Operating System Calibration and Boot. We're going to go through our checkbox. And now we're going to select My Stock 4L80E bin. And our PCM has never been turned off, so we're going to go ahead and click Continue. And there you go. She's going to start writing, and it should take maybe about 5 minutes to actually write this, since we're not actually writing the whole operating system over again. All right, so now everything is flashed. We're going to shut our ignition off. And that is it. Well, there you have it. That's all there is to it to actually do a segment swap on your PCM. I really enjoy doing these beginner style videos because it seems like a lot of programmers and tuners kind of glance over the fact that everyone is not super tech savvy. If you guys have any subjects you want me to do in the future, please let me know and I'll be more than happy to do them. I'll see you guys next time on episode 3.